gold has been part of our social fabric and continues to be. In the last few weeks, as we saw the whole rally that has been happening globally and in India, it's been quite interesting. And the two facets of it, from an Indian perspective, the financial side, and you mentioned about ETFs, digital gold, and all of that, which has been growing substantially. We think that a product like ETF is still at a cusp, and 2025 will be a real growth area for ETFs and the financialization investment side of gold. On the jewelry side, which tends to be a very large segment in India, we've seen consumers, and even historically, whenever the prices go up, the consumers tend to wait and watch, wait for the stability or at least some pause in the acceleration or deceleration, and then consumers come and buy. And hence, as an outcome from the first quarter, we saw overall about a 15% degrowth in volume terms, but almost about a 20% up in the value terms for gold consumption in India. And if you break that down, consumption for investments went up by about 7% in volume and a whooping 54% in value, whereas for jewelry it went down about 25% and about 8 to 9% up on value.
If Akshaya Tritiya is a litmus test for the buying appetite of the Indian consumer, then what does it mean for the bigger festivals like Diwali and Dussehra later on this year? And do you think that buying will be relatively undiminished, or is it going to be impacted?
I think the what we've been seeing in all our consumer surveys is that the confidence of a consumer for gold is supremely high right now and will continue to be like that. And India, when you look at India, it's two parts of the consumption. There is an urban India consumption, there's a rural India consumption, which is also very significant. And the fact is that while in the urban side, people talk about investments, returns, alternative assets class, and so on and so forth, in the rural part of India, which contributes to a significant 45% of the consumption, over there, gold is considered as a saving, and you keep continuously invest in a saving, and hence when you look at your asset class over a period of time as gold, and there aren't too many avenues, that feeling with the increased price is very, very strong. So I think what I'm trying to say is that investment demand on bar and coins, ETFs, as we talked about, is going to continue. It's already very strong, and from a jewelry, we believe that consumers will come back.
Sachin, a younger demographic, is that emerging as a new driver, as a new buying force in the gold market, as opposed to what the younger generation typically tend to gravitate towards in the investment arena, cryptocurrencies and meme stocks? And what is the World Gold Council's strategy for India specifically to capture what could be a new investment cohort?
Well, for us, the whole, you talked about young India, and by end of 2024, almost 72% of India was millennial or younger. So if you have to build up future businesses, be it investment, be it jewelry, you really got to focus on the younger and the youth and how they consume. And hence, two parts of it. Firstly, on the investment side, so a lot of digital gold, a lot of ETFs and everything. If you go in the deeper demographics of who's consuming it, it's been largely driven by younger consumers. And I think it's to do with digitalization. It's to do with the ease on living a life on the mobile phone and stuff. And also a gravitation or a move that we've seen over the years that physicality in India that mattered so much is people are okay now to having it digitally owned. So largely led by younger consumers. Now let's talk about the jewelry side. On the jewelry side, gold has had a very important cultural nuance on cultural themes and stuff. And as World Gold Council, we're now focusing on bringing, what we call internally gold being the new gold, even in that space, where we're trying to bring it fun, youth, exciting, new products, new ways of retail, really upping the game on competitive retail, training, technology on floors. So you would see a lot of stuff happening on retail side as well. And also on the other side, we're looking at strengthening the awareness of products like ETF.
That's very interesting. Just give us a bit more colour and an overview on what exactly is on offer, Sachin, in terms of digital gold in the marketplace in India, and how widespread is this asset class, and give us a sense of adoption as well, and how much demand is it generating precisely compared to the more conventional bullion, gold bars and coins?
So let me give you a bit of numbers of ETF and digital gold. Let's break that up. So ETF, let's talk about 1st of January 2024. The AUM of ETF was about 41 tons. Like, let's talk about 1st of January 2025, where the AUM of ETF went to about 59 tons. Now, you could argue to saying that 18 tons is not a big deal, but 18 tons over a 41 ton AUM is a significant percentage up. And as we fast forwarded as of today, or I could say end of last month, we saw the AUM moving up to about 68 tons. Now, it's growing rapidly, and we believe that there is a huge potential on the ETF side as it gets more and more easier, popular, and the fact is that it's a regulated product. It's backed by the SEBI promise of that every time you buy an ETF, it's backed by physical gold, and that promise is not known to a sort of consumer on the street, and hence I think the awareness is important. Let's talk about digital gold, which fractionalizes gold, and you can buy online by various platforms. And it's growing. I mean, the fact is that today we have almost 45 million consumers who have consumed gold by digital gold. The issue is that it's not regulated yet, and there is a lot of work happening, and we're working with the government, and I'm pretty certain that very soon there'll be a framework of what is the regulation around digital gold, and I think that's really going to bring a lot of strength that nobody I mean, it's a safe investment and can move forward. So that's the sort of flavor. Now, physical gold in terms of bars and coins continue to be still dominant and very large in the overall consumption. So from the about 30% of the consumption in India tends to be on investment, out of which about 80 to 90% tends to be on physical gold.